An Illinois DEI commissioner didn't properly disclose a job. Plus, we've got legislators wanting to make an Epstein commission to have subpoena power and investigate what may have occurred in Illinois, if anything. This is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for being with us. We've got a live interview with our investigative reporter, Jared Strong. We'll also share some of a news conference with you of state legislators hoping to build a bipartisan commission to delve deeper into those Epstein files. But just a few things. Of course, you need to go to thecentersquare.com, get the newsletter in your inbox by signing up today. It's a free newsletter, and you'll get headlines in your inbox for Illinois, but also what's going on nationally and internationally with the ongoing conflict in Iran and what that means for you, the taxpayer, back here in the United States. So obviously a lot of stuff going on there. Today, we've got the Illinois Senate coming back into session. It'll be an interesting afternoon of several committee hearings, and they're in on Wednesday and Thursday as well. And all of this is going to be marching towards a bill deadline, with the House coming back in with their own bill deadline. And it's going to be a pretty fast-paced several weeks as we march towards the middle part of session, where they're going to be throwing bills back and forth. So we'll do what we can to keep you updated at thecentersquare.com for Illinois. Obviously, we also talked yesterday about the U.S. Supreme Court not taking or not deciding whether they're going to take the gun ban challenge out of the state of Illinois. That's been there in the U.S. Supreme Court's docket for months, and they keep relisting the Cook County ban challenge, the Viramontes case. But we still have the case in the Seventh Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, separate the Barnett case. That still lingers, with the appeals court having yet put out a decision after hearing that case months ago. So a lot of people still very much plugged into what's going on with the Second Amendment. Now, yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court did have oral arguments in a case about nonviolent drug users and their Second Amendment rights. So we could get a ruling on that in the months ahead from the U.S. Supreme Court, and that'll have nationwide reverberations. So that's an interesting space we're going to continue to update you on here with Illinois in Focus and the Center Square. Also, don't want you to forget about the Center Square Daily. It's our new national program that we launched and brings in reporting from all across the country, including tapping into some of our reporters, delving deep into stories across the country. So be sure to subscribe to get the latest there here with YouTube and the Center Square. All right. So stay tuned. We've got tons to tackle. Next, we'll talk with one of the investigative reporters for the Center Square, Jared Strong, about the latest in his ongoing saga investigating Illinois' Diversity Commission, and the next layer of the onion peeled back. Rather fascinating. So stay tuned. We'll get to that next here with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm your host, Greg Bishop. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for more of the Center Square and Illinois in Focus Daily. A member of Illinois' highly paid diversity commission disclosed a side job to state officials in a manner that masked how much she had earned. That's according to our investigative reporter, Jared Strong, for the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop. This is Illinois in Focus Daily, and we're joined now by Jared, who is continuing his investigations into what's going on with this diversity commission. Jared, we've talked several times about your ongoing journey to try to get answers. And it's a pretty costly commission that you say doesn't really take many votes of consequence. Give us the headline and the latest in your investigation, and then let's talk a little bit more about what this means for others who may be in the same type of boat.
Hey, thanks for having me, Greg. Yeah, so we've been looking into the Commission on Equity and Inclusion. That's a commission that was created in 2022. 7 commissioners. They make about $150,000 a year apiece. Our investigations have shown that they have relatively lax schedules compared with their counterparts elsewhere in government. As you mentioned, they take, I would say, no votes of consequence to the public, at least in recent years. And unlike some of the other boards and commissions, these commissioners are also allowed to have side jobs. So we've been looking into that. This story is an extension of that. We initially found that 4 of the 7 members have outside jobs, and most of them have been paid for them, several thousands of dollars a year. One person runs a digital media company. One is freelance as a human resources contractor. One person directed a play last year in Chicago, and he co-founded a business that hosts Dungeons and Dragons games at bars. And then the fourth, has taught and consulted for universities. That commissioner, Entity Rivera, she reported that work to the state in a way, like you said, that sort of hid how much money she was making doing it. These commissioners and many other state employees, they're required to disclose how much money they make in other jobs. It's the main focus is to ensure that they don't have conflicts of interest that might interfere with their work. In this case, we've used that to help ferret out some of these other side jobs that they've had. And so, as I said, she reported her work for the University of Illinois in one section of these forms, but there's another section that's a bit more crucial to what we're looking at. And that's a section that where people are supposed to report how much money they made or jobs where they made more than $7,500. That threshold has since gone up. And she did not report it in those sections as well on those disclosures, and that's required. So in a way, it made it seem that she was making less than $7,500 a year with the university. But the university is a public institution. Their records are open to public examination. And so we requested them. We asked them, how much did you pay Commissioner Rivera in recent years, each of the calendar years? And we found that in 2021, this was before she was a commissioner, but she still had to report this. She made $18,000 that year. In 2023, when she definitely was serving the full year as a commissioner, she made $22,000 or $22,500 for that calendar year. So she has not responded to my requests for comment, multiple. As we've discussed before, I drove to Chicago quite a ways to see these folks in person. They still refuse to talk with me. So we don't know if it was intentional. We don't know if it was an oversight. She is an attorney, so one would think that she might have a better understanding of the requirements of the law than other folks. But
does that matter, right? I mean, whether it's intentional or unintentional, I mean, there's still got to be some kind of consequence for that, right?
It's hard to say. The state attorney general's office at the state level and at the local level have declined to comment about those types of investigations. There's wording in it that you have to essentially prove that the person knew what they were doing was wrong in these cases. It's knowingly filing a false or incomplete report. So it's up to someone's judgment and interpretation of what thoughts were going through Commissioner Rivera's head when she was filling out that form.
Jared, this obviously something you've been tracking for literally months upon months upon months and have traveled hours upon hours. And I can't even imagine how many emails you've had to send out and how many phone calls you've had to make without really any response other than through FOIA, getting stuff that they are legally required to hand over to you. So the onion continues to peel back with hard work, of course, from the Center Square's investigative team. You of course have more to do with this story. What's next?
Well, we have an outstanding records request that will hopefully shine some light on the issues that they've had with the new computer system that they bought. As we've discussed,
I forgot that's a totally different issue here, right? I mean, it's not just this deep layer you peeled back to get university spending to match up with whether or not they're reporting it properly to their, diversity commissioner employment. But yeah, the computer system, they're supposed to be increasing diversity. Here, for some reason, it's decreasing.
Yes, I mean, not only are there questions about just the amount of money they make and how much work they might be doing, the work they have done has backfired. I mean, it's really caused a huge issue for them in certifying businesses. They get preference in state contracting, those businesses that are majority owned by racial minorities, women, and people who are disabled. They have half as many of those certified businesses now as they did a couple of years ago. And that's a really big problem. It goes against their goals. So we've got a records request out. They provided some of those records that were heavily redacted. I've challenged that. So that appeal process is playing out right now. That's one avenue. They should be releasing their annual report that will really show what the effect of the decreased number of certified businesses is. That'll be big. That's got to be coming up here real soon. And then there's a chance that a commissioner or staff will be talking to lawmakers as part of the budget process. Some lawmakers we've talked to have said that they're going to, grill the commission's representative on the work that they're doing, as they go through that budget process.
Well, and I imagine they're going to be referencing the Center Square stories because you're really going deep into that onion and finding some of these questionable things. And it's a lot of work to be able to shed light onto that. But that's what we're doing here at the Center Square, and thanks to the investigative unit with the Center Square, including Jared Strong here. Jared, we're going to be talking with you, of course, about this because, as you said, likely commissioners or staff will have to be in front of a legislative body to ask for more money, right? I mean, they're, $7 million budget is how much they have?
Yeah, and the governor has proposed a decrease to that. They've been allotted in the past the ability to spend as much as $7 million, but they've been ramping up their new commission, so they haven't spent quite that much. And I think that number will be down. But, it's $1 million just for the commissioner's salaries. And it doesn't seem like the state lawmakers are getting the results that they perhaps expected when they created that commission.
And you've got staff, and you've got travel, and you've got per diem, and all these other associated costs that can quickly ramp up to where you can see millions and millions of dollars being spent on this commission, which doesn't really take many votes of consequence, if any at all, and is also not really changing the trajectory of increasing diversity contracting. Something else, too, I think taxpayers in particular in the state of Illinois would probably benefit from knowing how much in taxpayer contracts are they trying to, guide here, essentially.
Yeah, well, not all contracts are eligible for this program just because they might be in a business sector that is highly specialized, and there might be few companies that do it. But I mean, as we talked before, Governor Pritzker, he proposed a $56 billion operating budget. The state spends far more than that each year. They in a recent year, an annual report identified, I believe it was over $100 billion of state contracts for 1 year that could be eligible, for these businesses. And the goal for the state is to get 30% of those, so tens of billions of dollars. And I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but I want to say it was a little over 1 billion that was awarded before this big computer problem happened. So we're waiting to see whether or not that number has gone up or gone down.
We'll continue to touch base with Jared Strong from our investigative units to keep us up to date with what's going on with this diversity commission costing Illinois taxpayers and whether they're getting any good results for the taxpayers. Jared, greatly appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon, all right?
Take it easy, Greg. Thanks.
It is Illinois in Focus daily with the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop, and get the latest headlines in your inbox by getting the newsletter at thecentersquare.com. Bill filed to create Illinois Epstein Files Investigation Committee. find that story and many others at thecentersquare.com. I'm Greg Bishop. This is Illinois in Focus Daily. And if you get the headlines in your inbox by signing up for the newsletter, that's just one that you'll see. Let's get into it. So, of course, the Epstein files, part of a major release that the Congress approved in a bipartisan fashion to essentially force the Department of Justice to release millions of files associated with convicted child trafficker, convicted child abuser, Jeffrey Epstein, and all the questions are, was it indeed child trafficking, and who are those who should also be held accountable, and what other things have happened in that space of Jeffrey Epstein? What powerful people have been impacted? And there's a lot of continued questions as people pour through more than 3 million files of PDFs chock full of police reports and emails and scans of diaries, which some of them I've seen are pretty disturbing, and videos and pictures and all kinds of rich and powerful and elite people associated with Epstein. Of course, Epstein's death years ago sparked a continued call for information to be put out. It took an act of Congress to get all of the documentation put out, and there's still questions about, do we have all the documentation? Tons of redactions all throughout those files, and exactly how is this going to play out? But you've got members of the Illinois legislature looking to have a deeper investigation and a commission, actually. As our reporter Jim Talamonte reports at thecentersquare.com, a state lawmaker proposing commissions to investigate the ties in convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking network with Illinois. State Representative Rashid, Democrat from Bridgeview, filed House Bill 5723 and held a news conference yesterday to discuss that particular commission proposal.
Survivors are at the heart of this bill. Participation is voluntary. Testimony is confidential where requested, and trauma-informed support will be there for anyone who comes forward. Their courage is something the state will never demand, but if any survivor comes forward, we will seek justice and accountability for them. The commission will hold public hearings, issue reports, and operate under our state's transparency laws while protecting confidential information in active investigations. The goal here is straightforward: accountability and justice.
So, Rashid talking about the importance of accountability, and he promised that no one would be exonerated or presumed guilty.
The commission will have subpoena power backed by the courts. It can gather records, take testimony, and refer evidence of criminal conduct to the Attorney General or other appropriate authorities for prosecution. This criminal conduct can include human trafficking, sexual exploitation, racketeering, bribery, official misconduct, obstruction, or other crimes.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of questions. Rashid said that he's not talked with the governor, but you've got the idea that he wants this commission to be bipartisan.
It gives the governor the ability to appoint the 10 members of the commission, again, bipartisan, and they need to be qualified to handle investigations like these.
So what does that mean for the commission? Questions about Governor J.B. Pritzker. You've got the governor's cousin, Thomas Pritzker, who has been in the Epstein files. Several years ago, something surfaced where Thomas Pritzker was alleged to have done something improper. And when Governor Pritzker was asked about that several years ago, he said, he doesn't know what the allegations are. He doesn't really hang out with Thomas Pritzker. But after the Epstein files came out, Thomas Pritzker stepped down from his position at Hyatt Hotels, and that's sparked a whole bunch of questions about what's going on, because the Epstein files most recently released, there's like 20 different emails of Thomas Pritzker going back and forth with Epstein. And I even saw a picture, I'm pretty sure, of Pritzker sitting at a table with other high-profile people, and Epstein's in the photo. I think I even saw a magician doing like card tricks or something in that photo. So, you've got questions about Thomas Pritzker, and will Governor J.B. Pritzker be asked about this? And is there a conflict there of the governor, Pritzker, if he's the one that's going to be governor whenever this commission comes together, if it does get passed, is there a conflict of him appointing commissioners to investigate this if indeed his brother Thomas Pritzker might be something that's wrapped in on whatever investigation this commission might put together. So again, an interesting question, but you had the League of Women Voters there as well with Rashid, Jane Ruby, a Chicago activist. She said that Illinois has got to act if the federal government refuses to act on holding people accountable.
We know this is bigger than one bill and bigger than one state, but someone must lead the way. If justice remains a locked door in Washington, then let our state be the battering ram. Let Illinois lead the way, other states will follow. Let's teach every person connected to Epstein's network the oldest lesson of our great republic. No one is above the law.
What happens next with House Bill 5723? It's a great question as we pull up the bill here from the Illinois General Assembly. It's filed and is just filed. It's hadn't even been assigned to a committee yet, so we'll be tracking that as well. All right, it is Illinois in Focus Daily. Get the headlines in your inbox each and every weekday morning at thecentersquare.com. Sign up for the newsletter and be sure to subscribe for the latest from the Center Square. Or you can get news clips. You can also get the Center Square Daily. It's right here, only with the Center Square. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. A little bit of a schedule here. Still covering stuff at the Capitol. Got to be there in person. So you are going to have me in the seat for the Center Square Daily today. So be sure to come back and check that out. But also, I'm not going to be here tomorrow morning for Illinois in Focus. I'm going to try to get something together for Thursday morning, but likely Friday morning I'll be back for Illinois in Focus. And we'll bring you kind of a catch-all of all that happened at the State House with the Illinois Senate in session today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So bear with me. I really do appreciate your patience and your support, but you can support the Center Square even more by signing up for that newsletter, subscribing here on YouTube, watching the Center Square Daily, and also, if you've got it in you, you can donate to the Center Square. We're a nonprofit newswire service dedicated to informing you, the taxpayer, and how government's impacting you. You can find that donate button at thecentersquare.com. All right, so go check that out. I will see you soon. Right back here later today for the Center Square Daily. And then later on this week for more Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, have a great Tuesday. Be warm and dry as you can be with all the rain that we're going to be getting, at least through my part of the state. So we'll see you soon. Have a great day. God bless.
Regret.